It is cold, it is cold, it is cold. Come on in here, come on in here. Come on in here, folks. Is that a hair? Come on in here. Shit. When I roll this second blunt, I'm going to the front. Y'all not gonna see me no more, but you will hear me. Cause I'm gonna be in the dark. Floating around like Noah's Ark. What's up with y'all? Say what's up as you come into the chat. Let me know you here. Let me know you here, then we gonna get started. What's up, Trey Day? What's up, Dre? Let me know what y'all want to talk about. It's a lot of shit going on. I got some things I want to talk about, but I want to see what's on y'all mind first. In the dark, what can you do? Ain't no coverage back here right now, so I want to take my ass to the dark in this cold ass LA weather. Hey, shit. Take my ass up to the front. What's up, Carl? You from Houston, Texas? I got my boy Larry here. He's from Houston. I'll be on the show Saturday. And I hope you motherfuckers be there too. Saturday, 10 p.m., Comedy Chateau. Yeah. God damn, it's cold out here. Y'all got me sitting in the cold. I'm gonna get my mic. I'm gonna go in the house. I'm gonna get my mic so we get better coverage, and then we gonna start talking. What's up, Amir? It's cold as fuck. We gonna get started. 1 second. I'm gonna get my mic so that y'all can hear it more clear, and then we gonna get started. All right? Yeah. Let me get this shit. Where the shit at? Where the mic at? Where the fuck my mic go? Where's the mic? Where's the mic? God damn it. I can't find my mic. God damn it. Shit. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It's in the dark. What's up, Quan? Here it is. My mic is in the dark. We about to get started in 1 second. Larry, you a bitch. Hello? Yeah. Larry whole ass here getting ready for the show on Saturday. Live from Toronto. What the hell are you doing? You grew up in LA and you living in Toronto? What the hell? How'd that happen? How did that happen? All right, let's get started. So there's been a whole lot of shit going on lately. There's been a whole lot of shit going on. Did y'all see that watermelon eating dude? That dude that be out there, what's that dude's name? What's that dude's name? That be getting up that dancing gorilla. What's his name? That African dude that be dancing like a fucking ape. What's that dude's name? The ape looking nigga that's always, he'll eat some food. They start dancing and cooning for white folks, him. Gorilla, oh, his name is Gorilla, okay. Big Groove. You see today, well, I don't know if it happened today, but I read it today that Cardi B came out in support of the dancing gorilla. And this is what we mean about non-black people, non-black Americans engaging in our culture and not having any standards. This is exactly what we're talking about. Because the dancing gorilla dude eating watermelon and shit, he's doing that engaging in stereotypes directed at us as black Americans. And when black Americans speak up and talk about how we don't like the way this dude engages in stereotypes that are directed towards us, the main person championing him is a non-black American that's participating in black American culture. It was a point that I didn't finish making yesterday on my show on Caffeine, and I want to finish that point now. When Chamillionaire came out and said to go #1, there's an interview that's posted with Chamillionaire talking about going #1. Songs just don't go out there and get to #1. The songs that go #1 on the list are the ones that paid to get put in #1. Payola. Payola is what pushes songs to #1. So when you see a career like Cardi B, somebody who always goes #1, like how are you that long at #1? But where are your 5 straight sold out nights at Madison Square Garden? You know what I mean? Where is that? And even if people actually did listen to the music, because you hear Rihanna everywhere. Rihanna is nothing that nobody ever asked for. She was placed there by Jay-Z's people and promoted and pushed to the top by Jay-Z's people. And we all know Jay-Z's people is the police. That's just the way to me, I just narrow things down to the nitty gritty. You know, you dig what I'm saying? I get it down. I get down to the nitty gritty. And the nitty gritty is everybody that's around Jay-Z that makes decisions has, not everybody, but the people that we know, Leora Cohen, that chick that he has running title, whatever, I keep forgetting her name is because it's not important enough to remember, that former FBI agent that he got working, making all the decisions at his company. These are usually non-black people associated with either previous nefarious activities or police activities. So we can assume, I'm not saying I know, but we can safely assume Jay-Z and whatever he supports comes from them folks. And that's Rihanna. He's the blackface representation of white supremacy. White supremacy has refined itself to the point to where certain things they can't just do outright anymore. Some things they have to codify and hide their hand and put a token nigga out front to make it seem as if, and they've done that before. They did the same thing with Chess Records in a lot of ways. In some ways, you know what I mean? It was you know, this isn't a new strategy. Matter of fact, it's a proven strategy. Let's put a nigga at the head of as the face of some white supremacist shit, and then pull some white supremacy bullshit off. You dig? So when you're dealing with your Rihannas and your Cardi B's, and these people ain't from the culture, all right? And these are the ones, I remember when who was that did that song, Bitch Better Have My Money, the original one? I forgot, I'm drawing a blank. Who was it that did I remember my brother had the tape and the CD. And my dad was like, huh, what the fuck is this? Bitch Better Have My Money. That was an extremely popular song, like 93. I forgot who that was, though. Chat room, if you remember, AMG. Yeah. And my brother used to be in the house, my brother used to rap that all the time, and people was always talking shit. When the niggas had bitch better have my money. But then now you got an immigrant doing it. It's the you can say them in the Super Bowl. You did? What's up, Big Pontiac? I want everybody to say what's up to Quan S. She's always working hard in this mod. Everybody say what's up to Quan. But so this is what's been going on with us and our music. And so y'all know me, I'm fair. I don't talk about white people just to talk about white people or immigrants just to talk about immigrants. If you cooling on code, I ain't got shit to say about you. But I got something to say if you fucking with us. The same way I got to say about niggas who are foundational black Americans who fuck with us. Jay-Z and Puffy, they both FBA. But them is two black ass faces for white supremacy right there, boy. The way they've been operating the last 20 years. I can only go off how you move, not what you say. That's how I get down. How do you move? Not what you say. What's up, Mel Smith? So excuse me. So these people are plants. These people are put out there to speak for us. So we talking about this dancing gorilla dude. Now here comes Cardi B defending him and his debauchery. And my thing is this. Okay, cool. That's why y'all notice I've been far more unhinged dealing with immigrant black people lately because I'm tired of it. And what happens is there's always going to be someone in the comments saying, well, you just listen to what Tariq has said and everybody, this whole FBA versus the immigrant blacks is because of Tariq. Man, this ain't got nothing to do with Tariq Nasheed. And although we do thank him for coming up with the term foundational black American, I was calling black people native black American because I ran across Dr. Claude Anderson when I was 12 when he came to my church for the first time in 1993. But I like the term foundational. I like the term freedman. I like the term black fur. I like all. I'm cool. I'm cool with any term that identifies the black people who were born and raised in America, who can trace their lineage to slavery during the times of slavery, whether your people was enslaved or not. If they were around in the 1850s and they were identified as Negro or black or Indian, oftentimes a lot of us were or whatever, or freedmen, and they're still identified as black today in 2023, then I believe in us distinguishing ourselves. This ain't got nothing to do with Tariq. It has everything to do with my own personal observations. One thing our brother Tariq did was he shined light on the situation. But the minute he signed a light on what's up, Barbara Rashawn? Always honored you in the chat room. G Mars at the Faith Dome. G Mars, what the fuck you know about the Faith Dome? Niggas at the Faith Dome. Yeah. That's where I saw Dr. Claude Anderson, at the Faith Dome. He came to my church, but first he was at Crenshaw Christian Center. And I went to go see him again, like when I was like 16 at the Faith Dome, like what he just said. Y'all see those videos of Dr. Claude Anderson talking about black labor, white wealth, and powernomics? That was at Crenshaw Christian Center. And I remember being there one of those nights when I was in high school. So for those of you who are running the chat room and say, it's Tariq. No, brother. This is something that's been in the consciousness of black America for a long time. But we just will stay quiet. We wasn't saying shit because black Americans would rather be cool with the diaspora. Go back to, look, for those of you thinking I'm bullshitting, go back to, what was I about to say? I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, go back to Eddie Griffin. One of Eddie Griffin's best stand-up specials, my favorite Eddie Griffin stand-up special was Voodoo Child. Remember Eddie Griffin's Voodoo Child? That was, I think, 1998. My favorite Eddie Griffin special. He talks about the African cab drivers in Washington, D.C. thinking they better than niggas. Niggas ain't got one canoe. He says, y'all ain't had one canoe to come save us. You want to act like you better than us. This has been on the consciousness of Black America for a long time, but we ain't wanted to fuck with y'all. We was hoping you niggas would get it. Again, this ain't got a damn thing to do with what our brother Tariq is talking about, and it has everything to do with your fucking behavior. The reason why people listen to Tariq had to say is because all he did was point out what we all see. Let me say it one more time. We listened. The reason why Tariq Nasheed was able to take off with his terms and what he said is because all he did was merely point out what we all see. And we've had enough. We've had enough. We've had enough. And I'm going there because nobody respects us as a culture. But you know one way that we can get respect and get respect real fast is if we treat these other cultures the way we treat ourselves. If we four-wall our shit and say no more, that's respect. Respect is putting your fucking foot down. But in the midst of putting my foot down, since you don't want to listen to what we've been saying kindly for a long time, no. I'm going to clown, I'm going to crack jokes, and I'm going to say some things that are fairly disrespectful. Why not? If you have, press the number one, press thumbs up if you think the route of not really giving a fuck about how they feel is the way to go, or press the thumbs down if you feel that we should still consider everyone's feelings. Let me know. Or one or two. One, if you think we should go the way we go and not give a fuck, or two, if you think we should be careful with feelings. One, or thumbs up, two, or thumbs down. Let me know what y'all think. Should we give a fuck about feelings, or should we just come straight down the middle? Yeah, like, okay, so it's not just me. It's just something that, I speak from my spirit. I speak from my heart. You know what I mean? That's this whole show. Everything I do with y'all is from my heart. And I love myself. I love my family. And I love my people. I love us, man. Like, for real, for real, for real. And if looking like a jackweed dickhead is what it takes to defend my family's cultural legacy, then that's what it is. I did a podcast today with Dr. Dandruff. Cool ass brother, man, Mexican dude from LA, Dr. Dandruff. He did an episode of Roast Me. I like Dr. Dandruff. He's a Mexican guy, and we had a dope ass conversation on his podcast today. And anybody, I'm not like LA. I love Mexicans, bruh. I fucks with Mexicans for real, for real. Cause if you from LA, you got 2 or 3 Mexican homies that just, man, you just love these motherfuckers. You dig? But just because I love you individually and me and you are cool individually isn't gonna stop me from calling out your culture when they fucking with my culture. You know what I mean? And that's where a lot of black people get it twisted. You will get a few people that we like, and because of the few that we like, we'll get real quiet on the overall cultural treatment between cultures. But then you'll have 1 million black people that like you and 3 niggas that don't like you. Then all you will do is talk about black people. Y'all ever notice that? So loud ass truck over here. That truck sound like it need a fan belt. I hope you ain't about to go cross country sounding like that. Shit. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I ain't got no issue with Mexicans or Nigerians or anybody. And if we're cool one-on-one, we gonna stay cool. Like I have I'm still like hella tight with one of my Mexican homegirls from when I worked at my last job, Jenny. I love Jenny. Me and Jenny we got cool at my last job, and we don't talk every day. We'll go. Matter of fact, we'll go months without talking. But me and Jenny gonna always reconnect at least a couple times a year, and we're gonna probably go to lunch like every 2 or 3 years. Man, these are my people. And Jenny be following me on goddamn Instagram and Twitter, and she see what I say about Mexicans. But you know what she says when she sees me? She be like, "Yeah, my own family does that shit. So how can I get mad at you for calling it out?" Like me and Jenny had this conversation like this past like July. This last July, we was talking, and she was like, "I don't like some of the shit. I don't like reading some of the shit that you say flat out." She told me that flat out. I don't like reading some of the shit that you say. She like, it kind of bothers me, but she said, I can't say it's not true. She said, you've never written anything that I can't say I haven't experienced with other Latinos. So she said, but her point of view is always like, it's just fucked up. I wish it wasn't like that. And I get it, but me and Jenny always maintained our friendship and respect. You dig? So, and the same deal with Asians. I've told you guys this plenty of times. I got a homegirl I met in college who's a lawyer. She doesn't represent me because what her style of law is different than what I need. You know, she does other stuff. But when I started my IEP business, my business to do IEPs and help children through special needs, do y'all know I got that idea from an Asian woman? If y'all go to breakthroughas.org and look at my IEP business, which I don't do IEPs that much anymore because I'm more on my card reading right now. And I'm so expensive with IEPs, most people ain't willing to pay it. I'm definitely worth the fee, but most parents ain't willing to pay $2,500 to get their child's education thing right. Most parents on some other shit. They'd rather spend $2,500 between Christmas and their birthday, but won't spend $2,500 on getting their child taken out of special needs and put into the right school programs. But that's another topic. If y'all go to my website, breakthroughas.org, I got that idea from an Asian woman that I'm still cool with through this day. When she was going through getting her law degree at UCLA, I was finishing up school at Cal State Northridge, but I used to party at UCLA. And she told me, she broke down the whole game on the whole IEP thing and how, because I was already doing that shit at my last job. But at my last job, I'm not gonna say like I'm the most extra smart nigga. At my last job, they was raping me. They was fucking, when it came to what they were paying me for what I was providing, my last job was raping the fuck out of me. I just didn't know that IEP services was such a in-demand field that people paid a lot of money for. It was it's a cheap-ass muffler. It was an Asian woman that put me up on a whole game on how the system worked. She pointed me on what books to get, who to research, where to go to get funding. I mean, it's an Asian woman that put me up on game with all of that shit. And she just had a baby last year too. That's my nigga right there. But she, you know, we don't talk a lot. I may check in with her. Like if there's when I was doing my IEP business a lot, she would send me clients. I would send her clients, and we would work together on clients and shit like that. But me and Grace are cool as fuck. If I could not talk to her for 8-9 months a year. If I got a legal question, she's gonna get back to me within 5 minutes, unless she's in court. If she's in court, she don't get back with me within 5 minutes of getting out of court. I ain't got no issues with none of these motherfuckers. And they see how I talk about different cultures and shit. but they know I ain't lying, so they don't say shit. They don't say a motherfucking thing. Why am I saying that, people? Because I only asked y'all that question because I figured, because this is how I get that. I was gonna do number one. If y'all said number two, I still was gonna be number one. Even if y'all was all like, do number two, you should be more nice. I was like, man, in my mind, I already made it up. I'm still doing number one. Why? Because I've seen it works. When you are telling the truth and you come down the middle, people respect it, even if they don't like it. And if your friends of a different race, of a different culture, don't like the rhetoric, but you stand with integrity, if they truly your friend, if they truly your people, they're not gonna trip. If they truly your people, they ain't gonna trip. If they trip, they don't really fuck with you like that. Let me say it again. If they trip, they don't really fuck with you or your people like that. And that's just the truth. If they trip, they don't fuck with you. So that's a worry that you can get out your mind unless you don't want to know the truth about the people you're around. That's the unless. That is unless you would rather not know the truth about the people you're around. And I get it. A lot of people don't like knowing the truth. A lot of people want to stay in their mind and stay in their heads with what the truth is. They want to create the truth in their mind and live in that thought bubble. And that's another thing. I'm not here to judge it because, hell, I've done it. We've all done it on some level. Hell, I still do it in certain areas of my life. You know, we all are extremely refined in one area of our life, and we're like extremely 5 years old in other areas of our life. That's just life. Like the different areas of our life are never at the same maturity rate as other areas. So again, I'm not here to even judge. I'm just here to identify who is who. Because again, it's like basketball. If I'm playing defense, I got to know if the person I'm guarding can shoot or not shoot. I got to know his strength. Does he go left? Does he go right? And when he goes right, does he go to the basket? Because a lot of times you have a player when they go right, they go into the basket every time they go right. But when they go left, they're going for a pull-up jump shot. And you got to know who you're defending. Same thing if somebody's on your same team. If I have the ball as a point guard, I got to know my teammates' strengths and weaknesses. If you can't shoot and you're a bad shooter and you're lined up on the corner wide open, should I pass you the ball for the shot? Or at the same time, it's another cutter cutting to the basket. Do I give this non-shooter the ball? Or do I give the ball to the person cutting to the basket that's going to shoot a higher percentage shot? These are the details you have to analyze if you're playing sports. Well, it's no different in being social with people. You got to know, okay, is this person one of them fragile motherfuckers? Or is it somebody that could take a little bit of heat? You got to know who around you. And that's where judgment comes in. You judge whether or not you want this particular person in this particular situation. That's where the judgment comes in. You don't judge them for being who they are. They are who they are. Who a person is ain't got shit to do with you. Let me say that one more time. Let me slow down. I want to make that very clear. I'm preaching right now, nigga. Hit the Cash App, $DwannBrown. It don't fucking matter at the end of the day. People is who the fuck they is. And it ain't got shit to do with you. If somebody is a fuck nigga, they a fuck nigga to everybody. You feel me? If somebody, them ladies, y'all talk about men this and men that. If that dude has 3 different baby mamas and you the 4th, That ain't got shit to do with you. You interact with somebody who the fuck they is. And you made a bad decision. That's all right. You'll get over it. We all make bad decisions. The thing is just to identify who is who. And then once you identify who is who, that's how you choose to operate with that person. Like me, for instance. There are people that I've worked with in business and sometimes still work with in business who are flat out snakes. Look, I don't mind working with a snake. Because once I know you're a snake, I know how to handle your snake ass. I can't turn my back. I know that. I know that I gotta watch everywhere the money goes. I know that our contracts have to be right and tight. I know that I'm only going to trust you with the amount I can afford to lose. Let me say it again. If I make the decision to work with somebody who's a snake, because sometimes when you're in the world, you're gonna have to work with snakes. This is a snake-ass world. So you can't go around saying, well, if once I see somebody a snake, I can't work with them. Look, nigga, if you're gonna be doing anything business-wise on any level, you're gonna have to work with snakes. So this is my wisdom. This is my advice to y'all. If you're gonna work with snakes, I know you're gonna have to work with snakes. Learn some skills on snake handling. Don't judge a snake for being a snake. Don't say what you can't do, knowing you got to get through that pit of snakes to get to what you want. Just learn how to become a snake handler. And when you look at it, pay attention to what a snake handler does. When you see somebody handle snakes, they have tools that keeps those snakes at a distance. And they go get those snakes. They use those tools to keep a snake in its place. They don't treat the snake like a puppy. Once you identify a puppy, you know sometimes you're gonna have to work with puppies because you developing somebody. You're helping them cultivate their skill set. So when you got a puppy, you can't really say things that's gonna hurt that puppy's feelings. You gotta nurture that puppy. You gotta give it that puppy constant reassurance. So if you're a person that's tasked with the responsibility of training people, you have to know, okay, I have to reassure this person. I have to give them what they need. And when they mess up, I have to correct them. I have to correct them, in a kind manner, but stay reassuring because that's how you handle a puppy. You don't handle a puppy the way you handle a snake. And in life, some of us are snakes, some of us are puppies, and some people are snakes in this environment and puppies in other environments. You dig? So you got to know. Them snakes, they'll be snake around you, but they're a puppy around their mama or they in somebody. You'll see them in that environment and make them and make a wrong decision as to who they really are. And we can make mistakes, but what I'm really trying to say is identify who is who. And once you identify who is who, you use that and let that inform how you treat that person and how close you allow that person to get to you. Because have you ever seen anyone hug a snake? Even snake handlers don't hug it. Now, they may let the snake, once they've identified that particular snake as a kind of snake that's not going to choke them out or eat them, they'll let that snake kind of like wrap around their arm or some shit like that, or wrap around their neck because they've identified this particular snake. But when they're getting a new snake, when you see these people in Florida, shit happen all the goddamn time in Florida. There's a snake in the attic somewhere that some snake handler got to get, or on somebody's lawn. You don't see them allowing that snake to wrap his legs, his body around his neck, because it's a fucking snake. So back to what we're talking about. When I'm talking about Jay-Z's and Cardi B's and Puffy's and gorilla dancing niggas and shit, these entities are who they are. Jay-Z is living his own life path. Jay-Z is I know he's a spade. I think he's an ace of spades. I think Jay-Z's an ace of spades. Ace of spades people are people who, these are people that that hide who they really are. And you got to know who is who. And so, yes, although Jay-Z and Puffy and yes, they wear our same uniform. They're on the same team as us. But if I'm a point guard and I'm on my team, I'm not going to pass to my center who shoots 2% from the three-point line the ball behind the three-point line. Because if I do that, the whole team fails. The whole team fails, no matter how great I am. That's why I be laughing at LeBron. In that game 4 against the Golden State Warriors, when LeBron had Steph Curry guarding him one-on-one, but he chose to pass the ball to George Hill. Yes, George Hill had a layup, but George Hill, his whole career, whether it be in San Antonio or Indiana, this nigga's whole career, when you need this nigga, he disappears. He put up good numbers, but he missed key free throws. He turned the ball over. As a matter of fact, that's why he stopped being starting point guard at Indiana, because he couldn't stop turning the fucking ball over. Why would you pass him the ball when you got Steph Curry guarding you? Steph Curry, with the help of God, could never guard LeBron James. But this nigga passed the ball and his team lost. Not identifying who your teammates are. If you pass that same ball to Chris Bosh know what to do with it. This nigga's gonna put that ball in that basket. You pass the ball to George Hill, it's 50-50. Matter of fact, now it's not even 50-50. It's a 80% chance that nigga's gonna fumble away the opportunity. Know your teammates. Know your teammates. Don't put your teammates in positions to lose. Always put your teammates in positions to win. And you put your teammates in positions to win by identifying their skill sets and giving them the ball where their skill set operates the best and most efficiently. That's how it works. So if there's a Jay-Z or a Puffy on my team, I can't trade them because I'm not the general manager, and these niggas are still born black, and the society that controls us, even if I don't see this nigga on my team, they're gonna be associated with my team. So since these kind of dudes that have done nothing but send people do things to our music to degrade it and sell out our culture, if these people are giving me somebody and saying, hey, you need to listen to this person, Rihanna. Hey, you need here, Jay-Z, oh yeah, you need to listen to this guy, to Drake and these people. Oh yeah, they're not from your culture. They're not from there. They're from other places, or they maybe mix a little bit with your culture, but they really haven't lived the life of your culture. But it's okay. They're fine because I approve them. What's your reaction supposed to be? And I watch this fucking trucker leave. I'm high as fuck. Bright ass lights in my eye. God damn. I hate lights in my eye when I'm high. That's why I'm on this dark ass porch. God damn. Anyway, you identify who is who, and you treat them accordingly. Because what happens is you always get that one dickhead, stupid, dumbass nigga that be like, man, you just hate. They still black. Yeah. Some shit stink, some shit don't stink, but it's still shit. This is the worst parking this ass truck driver I've ever seen in my fucking life. God damn, hurry up. I'm high as fuck right now. My eyes are like, I just got some weed yesterday. If y'all saw Craig Facts, I poured out like 6 ounces. I just got like 6 ounces of weed yesterday, boy. Woo, and I just mixed 2 of them strains together, and it is right. Back to what we're talking about. So that's what's going on. Frank Green re-asked me a question. I didn't understand that question. The direction of AI or Al. I didn't re-ask that question. What's up, Amir? You drunk tonight, nigga? So that's what it comes down to when we're talking about these people who wear our uniform and try to represent us, but they don't. You got to know your teammates. You got to know who's on your team. Look, y'all, there's a reason why some players stay on the bench. Watch any game. Pay attention to anyone who watches sports. Do all 12 players, do every player on the team play in the game? Real talk, real question. Have you ever seen a game where a team where all season every player on the team gets time in the game? Have you ever seen that? And ask yourself why. They're paying these players millions and millions of dollars. Why are they paying these players millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to never play in the game? Why is that? Let me tell you why. The people on the bench haven't developed or don't have a skill set that's going to consistently add to the team's success. That's why they're on the bench. Whatever skill set they have isn't developed to the point to their skill set can consistently add to the team. Listen to my words. For you dumb niggas that be listening to the replay and fucking up what I said, because there's always going to be one of 5 of you niggas. I said consistently add to the team. Why did I throw the word consistently add to the team, man? I threw the word consistently in because bench warmers can come off the bench every now and again and do some great shit. There's some people like that's how like Lamar Odom was. Lamar Odom wasn't necessarily a bench warmer, but the Lakers were never successful when he started. When Lamar Odom was a starter on your team, Lamar Odom got to play every game, but he couldn't be a starter. Why couldn't Lamar Odom be a starter? Because Lamar Odom was very inconsistent. He had all of the skill set that you needed to be successful, but he was extremely inconsistent. He'll give you 20 points one night, and he'll give you 2 points the next 3 nights. Then he'll give you 15 points, and then the next game he's going to have 15 turnovers. And then the next game he's going to drop 30. You could be like, Lamar Odom is great again. And the next 10 games he's going to drop 6. So his inconsistency didn't put the Lakers in position to win consistently. But when the Lakers got the kind of team to where they could put Lamar Odom on the bench and bring him off the bench to where if he did have 30 points as a bonus, but if he only had 2, you still could probably win the game because you could just put the starters back in to fill whatever void that he left. So he wasn't consistent enough to be a starter. And then you got players that come off the bench. You get players that don't play a few games. I remember like Eddie House was like this. Eddie House was a player that he may sit 2 or 3 games in a row, but that nigga come off the bench one game and drop 50 on your ass. But when Eddie House was a starter, when they tried to start him, when they tried to make him a 6th man, Eddie House, he was only going to play good 1 out of every 7 games. So when they put Eddie House in the role of, okay, since you only going to play hard, play really good 1 out of 7 games, we're just not going to play you consistently. So by the time Eddie House got to the Miami Heat and he played with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, see what y'all saw was, man, Eddie House, he wasn't doing that much. Eddie House was a great fucking scorer. He's a dynamite scorer. He just can't score for you every day. But when you have Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James, I don't need Eddie House to score every day. But that day he's on, same thing when Eddie House when he was in Boston. He was with the Celtics. He was great around Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. Because those are the cats that really put in the work. And him lighting up when he would have a game where he lit the night up, that just meant the other guys got to take a night off. So why am I saying all this? There are black people who come off the bench every now and again and do something great. Jay-Z had a career of not really saying much in his music, and then he dropped 444. 444 had a lot of knowledge and information. It had the Jay-Z that we all know exists, an intelligent guy. But like Lamar Odom, he don't bring that intelligence consistently. Matter of fact, he's mostly destructive. So what happened is when Beyonce, she's somebody who, ain't really done much for us, but hey, let's go ahead and do a Super Bowl performance and have all of the other women dressed like Black Panthers while I wear a blonde wig. That was Beyonce coming off the bench and giving us a good 15 points off the bench. That don't mean you put her in as a starter. For you niggas out there, I get the ladies a pass because y'all not into sports. But for you niggas in there that are into sports, pay the fuck attention to what's going on. If you're gonna watch sports, pay attention to the game being played. And when I say the game being played, I mean the game being played. If you dig what I'm saying, triple entendre right there. When I say the game being played, that's more than a triple entendre. It's on so many levels. There's the game, then there's the game within the game, the competition. There's a game between the ownership and being the players. There's a game between the owners, and a game being played on all of us that the NBA is playing against all of us. All these games going on at one time. Pay attention. But if you're going to pay attention to the game within the game, you got to ask yourself, why is there 5 players on the court and there's 15 players on the roster? And why don't those last 5 players down line on the roster, why don't they play much? It's because their skill set, the longer they're in the game, the more they're going to harm the team. Let me say that one more time. You put somebody that's the 12th man on the roster, the longer you keep that person in the game, the longer they're going to harm the overall agenda of the team. Because when my best player is LeBron James or Russell Westbrook, I need 3 niggas on the court at all times that can knock down shots. And the only way LeBron or Westbrook can consistently win with their skill set is to have players around them that can shoot. So if LeBron or Westbrook is on a team and the players around them can't shoot, the 12th guy on the bench is the one playing in the games and he can't shoot, the defense is just going to sag off that person to make it harder on the star player. They're going to use those downline players' strengths and weaknesses against the team. And that's how defenses are programmed and designed. If I'm designing a defense as a basketball coach, the whole point is to take your weaknesses and make your weaknesses the only options that you have to the best of my ability. And the further down the bench you go and you have those players in the game, the easier my job is as an opposing coach. Why am I saying this? When you deal with Jay-Z, when you deal with Puffy and Cardi B, when Cardi B's on your team, she's a down the bench warmer who the fuck even, why the fuck is she even on my team? Sometimes you're gonna play in basketball. I had a friend of mine that used to hoop, and he used to hoop for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, the year he played for the Wolves, those stupid motherfuckers passed up on Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and picked up Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn. Go back to the 2009 NBA draft. 2008, I think they were 8 or 9, whatever year that was. The fucking Minnesota Timberwolves had a chance. They had 3 of the top 18 picks. The same 3 the Warriors have, Draymond, Klay. No, Klay wasn't in that draft. It was Steph. I think Klay was in that draft. The Minnesota Timberwolves could have had Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And these motherfuckers chose Johnny Flynn and Ricky Rubio instead. So sometimes you're going to be on a team where the ownership, the general managers are making poor decisions that ultimately harm the team. So that's what's happening with us. So we have this media that we've been allowing to define black culture. A white media we've been allowing them to define black culture for the last 60 years. And they've done nothing but pick Johnny Flynn and Ricky Rubio to be our starters when we had a chance to draft Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You dig what I'm saying? So we getting these GMs these general managers on our team that are putting people on our team that ain't good for us. So those of us that are playing ball, we got to hunker down and get together and see who is who. And Jay-Z, Cardi B, the watermelon eating nigga, Puffy, these is people who they're down roster. They're downline players. They should never be on the court when we're talking about serious black business. These niggas should not be on the court. But because they were given to us, we letting these niggas start the game and finish the game and wonder why we keep losing. We keep losing because we got the wrong people that's in the game, making it hella easy for the people that are going against us. Matter of fact, the people that we got in the starting lineup are plants from the other fucking team. The people we got in the starting lineup were given to us by the other team. Yeah. Grew up in the other team's farm system, like baseball. I know everything about that player. And then they be like, here, he's wearing your uniform now. Yeah. Now, this player that we raised, he's now your starting point guard. He's now your starting point guard. So these bench warmers, what he did with Tariq and Teslin, that was a good thing. You know, some of the things that Diddy's doing over at Revolt lately is a good thing. Okay, cool, clap. I clap my hands for that. You dig? It still don't mean you're a starter. Bench warmers can easily come off the bench and drop 50. Mo Williams did that. Mo Williams was never a consistent starter, but he was great with LeBron, but he was also great with the Utah Jazz. Mo Williams dropped 50 points for 2 different teams. Jamal Crawford, too. I love Jamal Crawford. I used to go to church with Jamal Crawford back when I was in middle school and high school. Jamal Crawford, the reason why Jamal Crawford was the greatest six-man ever, because as a starter, you couldn't depend on Jamal Crawford. Even though Jamal Crawford had some of the greatest dribbles the world has ever seen. He had a wet jump shot and everything, but Jamal wasn't consistent. Jamal was at his best when he came off the bench. Same thing with Lou Williams. Nick Young, Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, Nick Young, to a lesser extent, J.R. Smith. These are all players that could light the world up. But you can't depend on these niggas. Manu Ginobili, yep. But you can't depend on them. When you need them most, it's going to be the game that they freeze up. So I can't have you as a starter, because the minute I see you freezing up, I'm going to have to put you on a bench and bring in somebody who's ready for the moment. Do you now understand the psychology behind sports and how that relates to society and how the world operates? That's why white folks don't allow degenerates to speak for their society. You know, like, white people love the show Jackass. Y'all remember the show Jackass from the 2000s? And the Tom Green show? That era of Comedy Central that was pre-Chappelle show? They could operate and exist within white society, but you're never going to see anybody from Jackass be a spokesperson for white society, will you? Yeah, Johnny Knoxville. Do you see white society putting a microphone in Johnny Knoxville's face, or Bam Margera and those guys? Do they ever get a microphone and say, what do you think about the United States policy towards Ukraine? Or what do you think about the Afghanistan war? And what do you think about the tax system? Does Johnny Knoxville get to speak on the American tax system and how it operates? Think about it. Think about it. But they'll come to and ask Cardi B to speak to the president of the United States. And we didn't even ask for her to be on our team. Where'd she come from? Who sent her? This nigga said, "We man for president. Positive influence, you a fool." We man. I forgot about we man. Yeah, Quan, I was offended by that too. So you see how that worked? You see how that works? It's not about saying such and such is this or that and staying mad at them. I'm not mad at Coons. I call Coons out. I'm not mad at you. I just identified you. And I'm very blunt about where you belong on the team. Sit your ass down on the bench. 'Cause when I coach basketball, you can't be like, "Could you please come over here and sit down? You're not making your jump shots today, Billy. So since you're not making your jump shots, is it okay that I get that other player in? If I get Johnny in?" And then Billy be like, "Man, you a hater." And then the rest of the team, now as a coach, the rest of the team is coming, "Man, why you hating on Billy?" I'm not hating on Billy, but Billy's not making his jump shots. I'm going to have to put in a player to make the jump shots. And instead of the team getting on page with the coach, they're arguing with the coach about the players that's obviously not doing their job. Like we can all see, Billy has shot 15 jump shots and he missed them all. Matter of fact, 4 of the passes we sent to Billy, he fumbled out of bounds. Every time we've passed Billy the ball, he hasn't done anything that helped the team with it. Now Billy got the best shoes on his squad. You know what I mean? His game, like I look at him like Billy, like Paul George. Let's think about Paul George for a minute. Paul George has the archetype of one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He looks the part. He has all of the skills. He can shoot over right shoulder, over left shoulder, finish with either hand, pull up from mid-range. He can score at all 3 levels, at the basket, mid-range, and from 3. Paul George aesthetically is everything you want in a basketball player. Paul George just looks like a basketball player. He does. Look at Paul George. Everything about Paul George says basketball, 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 basketball. But you can't trust Paul George for shit. Paul George, go back to when the Oklahoma City Thunder played against the Utah Jazz and got knocked out in the first round. And they was blaming Russell Westbrook. This nigga Paul George had 4 points and got outplayed by this white dude named Joseph Ingles. Ingles was dropping like 25, 20, and 30. Ingles was balling. And this nigga Paul George, with the look of a basketball god, could only get 4 points. And people wonder why Paul George has never won anything. The stats look good. He gonna average 21 and 12. Statistically, it's gonna be like, okay. Physically, he's everything you want. Skill-wise, he has all of the skills. Paul George literally has everything you need in a basketball player. There's nothing Paul George is missing as far as mechanically, physically, as a basketball player. But that nigga will check himself out of games mentally. Can't no white boy named Joseph Ingles guard no Paul George. But Paul George can guard himself in his own mind. So, nah, we ain't about to have no generational fights. Because, nigga, Steph Curry's a killer. He's just... Kyrie Irving, that's millennial. Kyrie Irving is a killer. That nigga Ja Morant is Gen Z. That nigga's a killer. Shit, don't blame them. We ain't about to have no generational wars. Because Paul George ain't nothing new. Those same players existed. They've always existed. You question Vince Carter's heart. He was one that had all of the skills. But he stopped going in and dunking about season 6 and stopped being aggressive. And he's had a long-ass mediocre career when it could have been a shorter career but far more dynamic. That ain't nothing new. Karl Malone had all the skills. But Karl Malone had no fucking heart. Pass the ball to Karl Malone when it was time to win, that nigga was going to dribble that shit off of his ankle. We don't do generational awards. Karl Malone was the same way. Karl Malone scored 36,000 points and didn't nobody care or notice because when they needed to, he couldn't get it for you. Karl Malone scored 36,000 goddamn points, but when the Utah Jazz just needed 2, Karl Malone ain't getting you shit. Ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new. Paul George is just that player for this generation. Every generation got him. So, yeah, it's all love. It's all love. And again, a salute to the chat room. I like y'all. I respect y'all. And anytime I say something to the chat room, it's never directed really at one person, because usually if I see something in the comments and I address it, it's not that you in particular said it. It's because you're just saying something that I see said all the time, and I'm addressing the larger point. And that's my point of view when I'm addressing this oftentimes. It's just really, I'm addressing the larger point. Because usually you're just saying something that I've heard said a lot. And I'm addressing the larger point and not necessarily attacking the person that said it, just to be clear. But this nigga Biz Marti said Karl Malone's a middle school legend. Man, you niggas are stupid. This nigga said middle school legend. This nigga. But, yeah, nigga. But, like, back to what we talking about. Hold on, let me check something real quick. What's up, faggot? I'll beat your ass, nigga. I'm live, bitch. This nigga coming to the Comedy Chateau February 25th. This nigga Larry Ho ass is here. I had to cuss that nigga out real quick. I had to cuss that nigga Larry out, but I wasn't about to be live with you niggas in the dark with another nigga here in the dark. Like, Larry up in the house right now, chilling. So yeah, we got the show coming up this Saturday at the Comedy Chateau. Hey Larry, fuck you. Oh, that nigga logging in, bitch. Oh, you got your tickets, Kenneth Berry? That's what's up. Hey, so Quan, ask Kenneth Berry for a report on how I knocked this nigga out. Hey Larry, I'm about to light this blunt, nigga, so if you want to smoke, bring your bitch ass on out here. Just don't talk. Just don't talk on camera. I'll fuck you up, nigga. So... Hey, come smoke, nigga. But anyway... This nigga, so back to what we talking about. It's all about identifying your players on your team. What's up, Court? Quan said, get some video highlights. This nigga KB said you gonna be totally objective in your reporting. Well, objectively count to 10 when I knock this bitch ass nigga out. How about that? He said, I gotta ask for the blunt and sign language. But like, you gotta identify who your team is, who the starters are, who the bench players are, who's gonna be in your bench rotation. Because there's some players that it's good to have it, like a Lamar Odom, a Jamal Crawford. It's okay that they're not going to consistently be that, but they can come off the bench and drop points every now and again. And that's where I look at maybe some of the Hollywood celebrities, not all. I don't see any Hollywood celebrities as starting players on the team. I don't see them as that. Just like no white person sees celebrities as starting players. Hollywood is its own organism, and people who have the most B1 heart can never survive in that organism called Hollywood if they're in the starting lineup. And that's fine. See, the issues that we have as a people, we be wanting everybody to be everything. See, an actor, this is what I want out of my actors and basketball players. I don't need them to start. It's just that when they're called in to play for us, I want them to represent the brand properly. But I'm already knowing that because of the position that they're in life, they can't be a starter and still survive in that organism. But I need people within that organism to represent us right. Let's think about this shit for a second. We need people in these organisms that are going to represent us properly, because, you get a black person with on cold, you don't even want them starting. Matter of fact, you don't even want them with a jersey on the court. Some people aren't going to be on the basketball team. Some people are going to work in the front office. Some people are going to work in promotions. A team is more than just the game that's being played. You got your directors of player personnel. You got your promotions people. You got your sales people. You got all of these different people within the organization. And the key is to have these people have a code of conduct that puts the team first. Whether you're dealing with the salesperson in the ticketing office, the promotions person that meets with sponsors, or the players or the coach, the only thing you want out of these people on your team is for them to put the team first. And that's what Black First means. That's what a code of conduct means. That means the code of conduct, whatever move I make, how is it going to benefit the team? So my actors and my athletes, I don't want them on the starting lineup when we're playing the game. Because when they're back off into their career fields, when they're acting, I need them as actors to represent us properly and say, you know what? I'm not going to eat that watermelon. That's what I need from my actors. I don't need them to be out front. I need my actors to say, no, I'm not going to wear that dress. Or, no, I'm not going to do this bussified scene. It's too graphic. There are children watching. That's what I need from my actors. I need from my professional ball players to just, Trayvon Martin happened. Let's back, what do black people think? Let's back whatever play my society. If it's harm my society, I want to back the play of my team. I don't need athletes leading the charge, but it would be help if they backed what our lead was. We the starters. We the starters. So when we're looking at our athletes and entertainers as starters, we're out of line. I know some entertainers that would definitely, they support what goes on in the Black First movement. There's some athletes I know who've donated a lot of money to different people within the movement. They can be far more effective not saying anything, but dropping 10 grand here, 100 grand there, 50 grand there, 5 grand here, $200 there. By poll, what do you think is more effective? Let's take Carmelo Anthony. Let's use him as an example. There's a reason why Carmelo Anthony was never celebrated by the NBA. Carmelo Anthony can still average 15 points a game now, and no one's signing him. Why? Carmelo Anthony never talked a lot. about what's going on socially. But Carmelo Anthony in the early 2010s was in the Guinness Book of Rare Records for the percentage of his income that he donated to causes. And most of his causes were black. Of course, when you're playing in the NBA, they're never going to allow you, because these people with these small hats really be controlling how this money gets passed around. They're not going to really just allow you to go all the way 100% completely black. So you're going to have to spend some money with some non-black organizations and donations, whatever. And I get it. That's part of the game of being in that environment. But Carmelo Anthony, after Katrina, built over 100 homes. Carmelo Anthony was always giving his money, especially to black people. Carmelo Anthony is the reason why when the NBA had his lockout in 2011, 2012, Carmelo Anthony put his name on the line for the WNBA to get pay increases. Carmelo Anthony is the progenitor behind the reason why the NBA Developmental League is now called the G League, the Gatorade League, because he talked about the importance of those people in the NBA, and he put his name and reputation on the line for people in he put his name and reputation on the line for people in people in the developmental league to get more money. And so the NBA got the idea to sell a sponsorship, and they sold naming rights to the developmental league to Gatorade, and that's why it's called the G League. But Carmelo Anthony's behind that. So Carmelo Anthony is literally responsible for hundreds, and lately, and as time goes along, thousands more people financially benefiting and getting further along, most of whom were black, because again, we're dealing with sports and basketball. We're dealing with 80% of the people are going to be black. So what's more important? If Carmelo Anthony came out and said, hey, Black Lives Matter, or him making actual moves that put long-term money in the pockets of people. People from the NBA D-League went from making $30,000 a year to $120,000 a year. It was cats. I had a homeboy who played in the D-League. This nigga was sleeping on his mama's couch because he wasn't getting paid enough. And then when you got to pay a trainer in your offseason, if you're going to be good, what you got to pay these trainers to keep your body in shape, the little bit of pocket change you make in the D-League is going right back into your body. Carmelo Anthony did that. So what's more important? The money that he brought in to thousands of black families through perpetuity, or saying Black Lives Matter? So you're right, like Kurt Flood in pro baseball. He put his life and name on the line he didn't get paid and everything, but his move helped out a generation. But we got a populace now that'll be like, man, but they didn't say nothing. They didn't say nothing. Man, so what? They didn't say nothing. We had no clue who Mary Ellen Pleasant was until around the time she died. And then she came out and was like, yeah, I was the one giving John Brown that money to fuck up white society. Me, a black woman, real quiet. Even Dr. John Henry Clark said, black people in America, we can do anything we want to do if we just shut the fuck up. That's what our greatest historian, master teacher, Dr. John Henry Clark, King of Spades card, born January 1st, which makes him a King of Spades. That's the God card, the master card. But very few people that are King of Spades reach that level of mastery because it's such a heavy crown to carry. But Dr. John Henry Clark carried that crown, and he carried it proudly. And he even said, black people can do whatever the fuck we want to do if we just learn to shut the fuck up and do it. Don't do like Suge Knight. Suge Knight fucked up when he put his face on that magazine, on that, was it The Source or was it Vibe? Chairman, was it The Source or was it Vibe or Rolling Stone, when Suge Knight came out on that album cover? What was that, 94, with a cigar in his mouth? 95? That was the beginning of the end for Death Row. when Suge Knight put his face on it. Yeah. So, cause like the difference between Suge Knight and Puffy, the difference between Suge Knight and Puffy, Suge, the part of Suge that they don't like to talk about is the fact that Suge Knight was getting niggas paid. He was going into offices, these white offices, and he was fucking these people up on behalf of black artists and getting them their bread. You can't do no shit like that to have your face all over the goddamn place. You gotta do shit like that way more discreetly. That's why it didn't last long. Suge Knight wanted to show everybody what he was doing instead of just shutting the fuck up and doing it. The nigga wanted to be a gangster. He went about it the wrong way. He was doing the right thing, but he went about it completely wrong. And that was that. And think about how Suge Knight ended up getting locked up. Everything Suge Knight did was weak as hell. Suge Knight didn't really get locked up over no real gangster shit. Nothing that really. When Suge Knight got his first felony, was when he shot, not his first, but one of his first, the felony that ultimately put him in jail was being in the studio, being a fake ass gangster, and he was in the Solar Record studio and he shot a gun in the studio at some people, like in the air. And they filed charges with the police, and they reported to the police, and police filed charges, and Suge Knight had that weapons charge, whatever that charge for, basically firing his gun, and not even at the people, but in the direction of the people. He was never going to actually shoot them, but Suge Knight was trying to scare them, being a fucking fool, being stupid. He doing all this good shit on the back end, but he want to play gangster on the front end and shooting somebody's direction. Then the thing that got him thrown in jail for a long time the first time was when Tupac got in that fight at the MGM the night Tupac got shot. They was stomping the nigga out. This nigga Suge Knight walked over and got like 2 kicks in on the nigga that was getting stomped out. And that put his ass in jail. Literally for getting a couple soft ass kicks in on the nigga who was already getting stomped out by the real gangsters and other people. Dumb shit. And then this thing that got him put in jail this last time, this nigga is showing up. You know you don't get along with Dre. You know it's niggas up there that don't really fuck with you. So he goes up to the set of a movie, and the nigga who he's scared of, somebody that can really whoop his ass, come walk in his direction. And he said, Suge Knight, the true story, Suge Knight truly was scared for his life. Cause one of the dudes that was walking up was somebody that could have really harmed that nigga. And he got scared. And in his fear, he ran a nigga over and killed him. And actually hit one of his homeboys in the process. The other nigga Suge Knight hit is his homeboy. Somebody he never would have hit. Somebody he was cool with. He wouldn't have hit that nigga on purpose. I won't say they was best friends, but they had a respect. The brother who did that movie, I forgot his name, the one who did Bastards of the Party. I'm not gonna say that they were friends or nothing like that. I'm not saying that. But they had a certain, according to their interviews, they ain't really had no beef. But the other nigga was somebody that could have whooped Suge Knight's ass. And Suge Knight that just gotten his ass whooped a few years prior. Hell yeah. Hell, y'all know, nigga, when Suge Knight got knocked out in Phoenix, I was there. I told y'all that people, Quan, y'all, I've told that story plenty of times on the channel. When Suge Knight got knocked out All-Star Weekend in Phoenix. I was like 20 feet from that shit. It was Akon's security guard. Them niggas was having a dick swinging contest the whole night, ordering bottles of Ace of Spades, trying to see who could spend more money. Shit got heated, and that motherfucker, bow, fractured that nigga's face. But, so Suge Knight just got his face fractured 20 feet from me at the W Hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Sunday night, February 15th, 2009, because I was there. And then he got his ass knocked out in Hollywood on Hollywood Boulevard in 2007. When was that? 2007 when Suge Knight got knocked out on Hollywood Boulevard and the camera and the pictures was everywhere. So this is a nigga who got knocked out twice in public recently. He was scared for his fucking life. But by then, Suge Knight lost all of his fucking money, so he couldn't afford a good enough defense to make that point. And they had it out for him. So, yeah, the Barbers the one that knocked him out in 2007 in front of in Hollywood. And you know what's crazy about that? I was supposed to be in there. I was supposed to go to that. I think that was I forgot the name of that club. But I remember I was supposed to be there that night. But I was actually at a different club. I didn't go there that night. My plans was to go because when I used to club a lot, I used to hit 3 or 4 clubs in a night. And just get in, stay. My wife used to laugh at me because this is back when we was still friends and shit. And I would be kicking in with her, and I'd leave her house like around like 10 o'clock. Nigga get to the club, first club about 10:45, stay for about 15, 20, 30 minutes because I know the bartender, get like 2 drinks real quick, leave and go to the next club. Because in Hollywood, these clubs are all clustered together. You can walk to them and sometimes drive to them. And I used to just bounce around. I was supposed to go there that fucking night, and I didn't. I was like, man, I could have saw Suge Knight getting knocked out, and I missed it. Nigga, he said, why are people scared of Jay Prince? I gotta let Larry answer that, 'cause Larry from Houston. Me and Larry was talking about Jay Prince recently. Jay Prince apparently earned his reputation on the streets of Houston. He's somebody else I'm looking out for right now. I'm glad you brought up Jay Prince. Why is Jay Prince talking so fucking much now? That's a serious question. Why does he talk so much? Jay Prince, the reason why I think he's been able to survive is he's been back in a cut most of the time. That nigga talking a whole lot now. So the way I see it, 2 things are gonna come out of Jay Prince. There are 2 things, and both could be true, or one of the 2, but I believe, is my suspicion, one or both of these is true, or gonna happen. With Jay Prince talking so much, if he's not them folks, they gonna come after his ass. They don't like when niggas with power talk. They don't like that. Niggas with true power, I ain't talking about black people with that was, if you're a black person with power handed to you by a white person like Jay-Z, they don't mind you. They don't mind that. If your power was handed to you by white folks, that's cool. But if you're black and you have your own power, you can't talk. You can have power. You just gotta shut up. You saw what happened with Robert Johnson, that black billionaire. You ain't never heard nothing go on with Robert Johnson, but the minute Robert Johnson donated and paid for Morehouse's graduating class of, what was that, 2019 and 2020? What year was that, y'all? That Robert Johnson, the black billionaire, paid up the Morehouse graduating class out. When he paid that shit off, you heard some charges came his way like 6 months later. Go back and look it up. After he paid off that Morehouse tuition and he made a big splash and made a big announcement, and he said a few things in favor of black people, they brought up some charges on his black ass, and he went right back into hiding. So with Jay Prince, I would like for him to not talk as much because he had his power, and I want him, whatever power Jay Prince has, I want him to keep it. And I think the way he's going to keep that power is by not talking about anything, just going back to being a recluse and not talking so much. Either that, or if you talking that much, this is me. Again, I'm not saying what Jay Prince is or what he isn't. I don't know him. I respect him. I haven't seen Jay Prince do anything that I don't like. You know what I mean? I don't, you know what I mean? Or I'm neutral on the guy mostly. I don't really hella support or dislike him. I'm very neutral on Jay Prince. But when we're dealing with these people who claim gangsters or who are known as gangsters and they talking all the time, I got questions. See, I'm not a gangster, so I'm running my mouth all goddamn day. I never claimed to be a gangster, don't want to be a gangster. I think that's just a stupid-ass ideology to follow. But I understand some people have to follow that ideology because of the environment they were raised in. I get it. I get it. I get it. But that whole gangster thing is bullshit to me because niggas ain't gangsters. Niggas are victims of white supremacy. We ain't gangsters. And, you know, so you've been like people like Jay Prince. Then you got these people that be going on Vlad, these popular Crips here in LA, the people who claim Crip and blood, and they be on Vlad TV running their mouth all the goddamn time. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I ain't gotta say their names. And this is my city. I could be critical of my city, like unlike some of you niggas. That be, my city's perfect. I love my city, but I could also be critical of my city. My city got some weird ass niggas that are so-called gangsters, but they first thing that happen, they want to run and talk to Vlad TV. My question is, who are you, nigga? You know what I mean? Who are you? How are you this gangster, but you always talking? Why are you always talking? And why do you even allow white people to ask you questions? Gangster? I don't mind. I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to white people. Like, if I'm on a white person's show and they ask me questions, they're going to be asking me questions about something constructive I'm doing, some business. But how you going to let a white person ask you questions about gangster activity? Like, how that happen? Like, for real. What black person is going around asking white people who run Hell's Angels organization questions? And what white Hell's Angels person will come to a black interviewer and answer anything about them Hell's Angels gangster activities? Or all these little white supremacist organizations that these cats be in. Do they come to black people to answer questions about anything? Yeah, you're right. Jay Prince threatened Offset. I didn't like that. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Kid. I didn't like that. That was like, what, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, something like that? When this whole Jay Prince Offset thing, I don't like that, man. Oh, man, look. Come on, gangsters. Look. This is a message to you gangsters out there that claim that. Live your life, be who you be, but I'm a square. But I'm born and raised in South Central LA, and I always respected the gangster code out here. The gangster code was to stay out of gangster business. For a square niggas to just stay out of gangster business, and the gangster business won't come your way. And I've lived by that code. I've always stayed out of gangster business. You know what I mean? But I had to live my life walking down Crenshaw and Rodeo in a red blood neighborhood, but my favorite color was blue. You know what I mean? I remember always having to think twice about putting on my blue and white Reebok Emmett Smiths. Those are my favorite shoes. I had these Reebok Emmett Smith 22s, white, blue, and gray. Dallas Cowboys. This is like 93, 94 when the Cowboys was actually worth something. And I'm walking down to the McDonald's on Crenshaw and La Brea. You know what I mean? And I'm like, nah, let me go ahead and, put these all whites on. I had to grow up in that environment. You know what I mean? I had to grow up in an environment to where a drive-by happened on my house I grew up in 4 different times before the age of 9. No, before I turned 10. 91 was the last big one. By the age of 10, I was involved in 4 drive-bys where I heard bullets actually hit my fucking house because the dude next to us was a Crip in a blood neighborhood. and these dumb niggas can't shoot. Luckily, none of those bullets hit any windows. They only hit the side of the building and they didn't penetrate. I remember waking up on Saturday morning with me and my brother walking out to the front to pick up bullet casings. We'd run to the street in the morning, at night, you go to bed scared as fuck. But when the morning come, me and my brother, my dad would make us cut grass, and we'd be cutting grass, and we finding bullet casings from the shooting that happened 2 weeks ago. I had to grow up in that shit. I had to by the time when I was 8 years old. This was the last person I saw get shot. I was 10, and this was around the time. I was 11. This is 92. This is 92. Y'all remember when Magic had AIDS, like when he had to announce he had AIDS and all that shit? This is like around that time. 91, whatever year, 92, one of them years. Around the time Magic announced he had AIDS. I remember there was like a special that was coming on TV, and my dad wanted it recorded, and we had a VCR. Y'all remember the VCRs? I remember sitting down and trying to play with the timer on the VCR, and right as I looked up, some dude hopped out of this. I can never forget this in my life. There was a gold van. It was a van, and it was kind of like gold looking. Some dude hopped out of the van. He had this big ass afro, and he pulled a gun out. He just started busting, and there was a girl walking by about 6 feet in front of him. I don't think he was shooting at her, because there was some other niggas later on in the grass. But that bullet hit the side of that girl's head, and she fell. And I saw that shit, and I can't unsee that. I still have images of that shit in my mind to this day. I'm gonna see that shit the rest of my life. That's what I grew up in. Do y'all ever see me faking tough? I'm a laughing ass nigga. I don't wear my experiences on my shoulder, but I've had some fucking experiences. I've had some real life experiences, man, some trauma, for real, for real. Why am I saying all that? I had to grow up in an environment to where these so-called gangster niggas, elementary school, Martin Luther King and Coliseum. I went to Coliseum Elementary School. It was on the corner of Martin Luther King Boulevard and Coliseum, right where Martin Luther King Boulevard ends. And when you cross MLK, you're in the jungles. Those of you who saw Training Day, you saw the jungles. Well, that was on the other side of my school. We been sitting in class learning our motherfucking how to put a sentence together, what's a predicate and what's a noun and what's a verb. And then all we hear is crack, 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 crack. I grew up in an environment where the gangsters shaped my experience, and not for the better. You gangster niggas, y'all gotta own that shit. Y'all talking about, man, well, real nigga this and a real nigga that, and we had some things. Well, for you gangster niggas, there was innocent people around. All the fuck I wanted was to be a better student. But I had to deal with you niggas shooting and shit while I'm in class. My elementary school, Coliseum Elementary, had 3 different drive-bys happen. And sometimes one of my mods, Chris Neal, Chris isn't in here right now, but sometimes Chris, he'll be here in the chat room. Y'all know who he is in the chat, Chris Neal. We went to elementary school together. One day that dude, he saved one of our mutual friends, his life. Like a drive-by happened on our elementary school campus. We ducked. One of our homeboys was new to the school, Aaron. Aaron he was new to the school. He came from like a better neighborhood. And we knew the drill because a drive-by happened in our elementary school, had already happened a few times. So Chris literally had to push Aaron to the ground. And one of the bullets that hit the building was right in the line with where Aaron was walking. But my boy Chris pushed him down. And we don't know if it would have hit him or not, but where that bullet ended up landing, it was definitely in line with where Aaron was walking. So this is my experience. My experience was shaped by you gangster niggas. I didn't want to be a part of that. I just wanted to play basketball, play the drums, and crack jokes with my friends. Play some Sega Genesis, play some Super Nintendo. That's all I wanted. I wanted to wake up, go to school, play some Super Nintendo. Nigga, that's what I wanted out of life. But I had to grow up in a very traumatic environment because of what you niggas was pulling. So you niggas gotta own that shit. There was a lot of innocent lives that were affected by it that didn't want to deal with it. Now, I'm in my 40s, and all these gangster niggas who shaped my environment, they all talking like bitches, running they fucking mouth. No, that bothers me. As a man, that bothers me. Because before the riot, man, shit changed. Like when the riots happened, things started to get a little cleaner in LA. That's how I know the police restarted that shit back up. But before the riots, man, shit was bad out here, y'all. Shit was bad. Shit was bad out here. And I grew up in the middle of that shit. That environment shaped my life. And now you go on Clubhouse and these people who are claiming Bloods are running their fucking mouth all goddamn day. And these people who claim Crip are running the Vlad TV and they in Twitter spaces talking. Who the fuck are you? Because where I was raised, gangsters don't talk. Who the fuck are these niggas? Why y'all talking so goddamn much? Why y'all glorifying that shit? That shit wasn't glorious. You don't never see me glorifying the gangster shit, that hood shit. I grew up in that. That shit shaped me, y'all. That's nothing to glorify. That was a war. And it's a war that's still going on. That shit's a fucking war that the government perpetuated through the the government called it the war on drugs. Dwan didn't label it that. They call it the war on drugs. They created SWAT teams. They created crack. They brought the guns in. And you niggas fell for the fucking bait. And I had to grow up in the middle of that fucking war that my friend Tyree, every now and again I still think about my friend Tyree, who left 58th Street in 1989. Tyree was my boy. I love that nigga. That was like one of my best friends when I was a kid. From 0 to 9, me and Tyree, I think he moved in 1990. From 0 to 9, me and Tyree were best friends. We used to hang out all the time. Up and down 58th Street, going up and down, walking through the neighborhood. And then one of Tyree's, his mom, ended up getting killed. And he had to move, and I never saw him again, never heard from him again. He moved. And it happened suddenly. It was like no advance notice. And because Tyree stayed behind my Uncle Doug. He stayed like in the back house. Never saw my friend Tyree again. But his mom dying over some bullshit fucked him up and fucked his family up and displaced him. I never saw my friend again. I had other friends up and down 58th Street whose parents got hooked on that shit, or their brother who's selling that shit. I had one friend named John who lived down the street on 58th Street, and the SWAT team, y'all know that big old van, that big old tank that sometimes Tariq talks about? That happened down the street on 58th Street where I grew up, on the east side. And I'm asleep. I mean, that's where my grandparents were. So I'm at my parents' house. I used to go to my grandparents' house every Saturday. So Saturday I come to my grandparents' house, and I see John's wall is caved in. And I asked my grandmother what happened. My grandmother was like, yeah, the SWAT team came last night and they caved John's wall in because John's big brother dealt drugs. And his whole family was displaced. This drug dealing brother went to jail, but John's life was never the same. They had to move, and they had to live in a shelter for a while. So some of my friends that were a very special part of my life as a young boy were displaced. I had cousins who I had great relationships with, and their moms got, one of my cousins, I'm not gonna say their name because they're still around, but their mom got caught up on crack. My cousin got caught up on crack. And so my closest cousin was actually in, remember that movie, the same movie I saw earlier, Bastards of the Party? There's a documentary on the gangster shit on the gangs in LA. It's the best, most accurate documentary you're ever gonna find. It's called Bastards of the Party. My cousin was in that. But right after that came out, he got killed. But he had a mom that got caught up on drugs, so she couldn't raise him the way she could have. My cousin was a great woman. I remember her before she got on drugs. She's a great woman, but she got caught up on drugs, and it put her son and her daughter out in the streets. And his big sister, my other cousin, she died recently. And a whole lot of my family got fucked up over government gangster shit. And now niggas watch Snowfall. Y'all don't understand how much that show Snowfall bothers me. I've never been able to see 1 minute of the show. Everyone said it's good acting. It probably is. Everyone says it's a great script and it's a good, well-run show. It probably is. I'm not here to say nothing about the artwork of the show. But you're never going to see me watch 1 minute of Snowfall. Never. Those are the streets that I grew up on. And I saw what happened. And I never left that area. I still live in the area. So when I drive down Vernon, when I drive through Lamert Park, and I see these white people moving in, when I was 10, I had to ride my bike down the other block because it was police tape. And I see what's going on now in my neighborhood, and I see shows like Snowfall, Glorify, and these people making all this money. But every time I see a commercial for Snowfall, that's the reason I can't watch it. Every time I see a commercial, it's being filmed on a block that at that same time when that show is being filmed, was sometime past 3 or 4 times a day. I cannot get jiggy with that shit. I cannot get jiggy with this. I can't get jiggy with that. And now these gangsters are running their fucking mouth. What the fuck is going on? What kind of bizarre world shit is this? So I don't respect it. And I don't respect how these so-called gangsters are moving now. I don't respect it. I don't respect it. I just don't respect it. I can't. Can't respect it. Why don't you niggas go back to shutting the fuck up? Whatever happened to that code of silence? All this gangster talk, gangster this, gangster that, and going to Vlad TV talking about gangster this, gangster that. And all you niggas that's gangster this, gangster that, though, none of you niggas live in them neighborhoods y'all was terrorizing me for. Especially here in LA. All them niggas that was in these neighborhoods running their mouth, all them niggas done since moved out to Riverside. Nigga, they done moved to San Bernardino, Lancaster, Antelope Valley, hell, or Vegas. Most of them niggas live in Vegas now. Most of them niggas I still live in these fucking neighborhoods that was being terrorized in the 80s. I ain't never left the neighborhood, y'all. I've lived in different sides of the neighborhoods, but where I'm standing right now, it's quiet. Now, where I live right now is, other than these fucking trucks and living down the street from a damn fire station, my biggest noise now is just living down the street from a fire station and hearing that fucking ambulance going by slow as fuck. My neighborhood is quiet now, but this same neighborhood in 89, 92, it wasn't, I wouldn't be sitting on this fucking porch like this in 92. Now this shit quiet as fuck. Don't nothing go on here. Hell, shit. Where I'm standing right now, Amazon dropped off a package and I didn't know for like a whole day. This shit sat out overnight and all day the next day. I got it like the next night. Did nobody come steal this shit? My neighborhood is extremely safe. But it always wasn't like this. And now I see white people coming into these neighborhoods. I see those same streets Snowfall is filmed on, and another show I fucking hate, the Insecure show. Oh my God, I hate that fucking show. But even then, the Dunes. I got trauma from the Dunes. The Dunes is over in Inglewood off Hyde Park. Eucalyptus in Hyde Park. My mom, when I was a kid, my mom had a coworker that she used to carpool with. And he lived in the Dunes. And we talking like 93, 94, 95. My mom used to drop me off in my middle school. I used to go to Override Middle School. So this particular coworker lived in the Dunes. And I remember picking him up on the way to school, and his name was Craig. And Craig and my mom talking, and I remember sometimes him getting in the morning. Like the reason why she had to carpool with him one time was because his car had gotten stolen. Someone broke in his house the night before, took his keys, nigga found the pink slip. And I remember him always having these stories about shit going on inside them Dunes apartments. The Dunes was real. Like, I think when it came to Insecure, they chose the Dunes for a reason. Because if you from Inglewood or you're around Inglewood, you knew the Dunes was one of the most notorious spots up in that pocket of Inglewood. And one of my homeboys used to live right down the street from there. When I got to high school, one of my best friends lived like right down the street from there. So I used to be over there all the goddamn time. And I used to deal with this chick that when I was like in 11th grade, I used to go, how it is when you're in 11th grade, you go over your homeboy house because it's a little girl you kind of trying to kind of fuck with. She lived down a block from that nigga. So I used to go to my homeboy Edward's house so I could kick it with the homegirl who lived up in the Dunes. And I seen plenty of niggas get stomped out up in them Dunes. I seen plenty of cars get broken into. I've heard plenty of gunshots at them Dunes. But now people making money off of it. It's become a sideshow. And all the niggas who was shooting the Dunes up, none of them niggas live there no more. I still, when I'm leaving my house to go to my parents' house, sometime when I'm going the back way, I cut through and I drive past. I still may drive past that Dunes, those Dunes apartments over from Insecure. I still might drive past those apartments twice a week or once a week if it's traffic. If I'm going to go see my parents and I need to cut through the back way down the side streets, I'm going past those Dunes. And all them niggas that terrorize that neighborhood are gone. But they want to get on YouTube and talk about them days when I still got to fucking live there and see white people live in my fucking neighborhood. And now these white people are doing exactly what I couldn't do And your gangster ass, instead of coming out being a gangster now, you on Vlad TV running your fucking mouth. I'm tired of these niggas. The dunes it's still black people up in the dunes, but they're trying, like, they gentrifying the dunes in that whole block, literally unit by unit by unit. The difficulty they're having with that particular section of Inglewood is a lot of those apartments, the dunes are apartments, but a lot of those buildings over there are condos. So people own them, so they can't just like change the rent on motherfuckers and get them up out of there. That's the reason why that particular part of Inglewood is the black people who are holding on to that particular part of Inglewood. Most of it because on that block it's a lot of condos. But that whole area, like the dunes, this is how LA I am. My mom always talks about the dunes and all those motherfuckers, those spots when she was a child being houses. My mom always talks about like how in the mid-'70s, they started knocking those houses down and making them into apartments in the mid-'70s and into the late '70s. So my mom was there, when she was born, Inglewood was white and niggas couldn't come into it. And then when they finally started letting black people into the Inglewood in the '70s, they were knocking those houses down and turning them into apartments. And that was the good side of town in the '70s. But by the time the '80s came, wasn't shit. Shootings all got. Nigga, do y'all realize when Magic Johnson was running the Lakers and those Shaq and Kobe years, those Cedric Should years at the Inglewood Forum? Inglewood was gangster as fuck back then. But these niggas is on Vlad TV running their mouth now. And them same streets they was shooting niggas for walking down, white people get a free pass and can walk their little puppy at 5 a.m. And these niggas won't say a peep to them. As a matter of fact, not only if they do say something, it's gonna come with a fucking smile and teeth. So yeah. So I'm more vocal because I don't respect it. We got to clean house first. And part of going at these immigrants that are wearing our uniform, we got to now send to the gangsters. Like, okay, gangsters, y'all been gangsters and y'all been gangsters towards us for a long time. We need you to be gangster now for black people. And if you ain't gonna be gangster and putting black first and defending our society, then you're fucking useless. You're no better than a white supremacist. If you just a gangster and the only thing your gangster is good for is a Vlad TV interview and some degenerate music. I want to put you in a class with Jay-Z. I'm going to put you in a class with the alt-right. I'm going to put you in a class with the Asians against blacks. Y'all all are in the same class. You're fighting against our greater good. So we got to check all these coons. And if you're a gangster towards other black people, but then the minute white people become a topic, now all of a sudden you tooting your asshole in the sky like you did when you was in prison, you ain't no good for us. I don't judge you for your past. I don't criticize you for your past. But I am watching how you move in your present. If your past is your past, but in the present, you using your present for the greater good, then I'm good with you. I don't give a fuck I don't give a fuck if you was a hooker, a pimp. I'm cool with pimps. I understand the pimp society. For every hoe that's born, so is a pimp. Yin and yang. Two lifestyles I'll never engage in. But for those who do, I respect it. It is what it is. Pimps ain't pimping nobody that don't want to be pimped. And hoes ain't hoeing for nobody they don't want to hoe for. I stay out of that business. Just like I stay out of gangster business. Just how to stay out of drug dealer business. Whatever your past was, that was your motherfucking past. I ain't got a judgment on it. But I am watching how you move now. It's starting to rain, y'all. I'm about to go inside. It's starting to rain. LA, we about to go through apparently LA is in for a major storm, and snow is going to reach its lowest levels in like 30 years. And it's supposed to rain a lot for the next 3 days. And the rain just started. Here it come. Here it come. It was snowing in Vegas. But I'm under the covered part right now, so I ain't getting rained on. And the wind is blowing in the opposite direction, so the rain is blowing that way. It's not blowing towards me. I'm dry. But I love the smell of a fresh summer, of a fresh rain. So while LA gets ready for its biggest storm, come to my show February 25th at the Comedy Chateau. Get a reading. You niggas need your readings too. Get a yearly reading. You want to get, it's still the beginning of the year. Plan your year out. Get a reading at breakthroughas.org. And this shit's really starting to come down now, so I'm about to go inside. Oh yeah, it's coming down now, nigga. Yeah, it's coming down. Y'all hear it? Y'all hear that shit? Shit sound beautiful, don't it? I'm gonna take my ass inside though, y'all. Turn on my fireplace. I'll holler at y'all. Remember that there are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. Thank y'all again.